The ghosts of Vanderbilt have been vanquished. The spirits have been vaporized deep into the depths of hell that is the 1962 Vanderbilt team that went 0-16 in the SEC. They did have 2 ties, but Missouri, with 2 regular season weekends remaining, they go to College Station at 0-24. They win not game 1 in wild fashion, but they win all 3, taking the series from Texas A&M, the preseason #1 team in the country, who's on the verge of missing out on the NCAA tournament for the first time in 35 years, that being the preseason #1 team. Kyle Schassburger and David Kahn with you on Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers. 2 shows this week. We're off to Hoover on Monday. We'll get you a show before we hit the road, and the postseason is right around the corner, David. I'm eating an entire head of lettuce today. We'll get to that at 11:30, live, straight up, 30 minutes from right now, but there's business to tend to first. The Lettuce Club, they can wait. Okay, I've got my head right here for those that are watching on the YouTube channel, Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers, at Kyle Schass, at SportsCon4, on Twitter, on X. Sir, it's a pleasure to be with you. I know you brought your scale to ensure that this is indeed 1 pound, but you're just going to have to take my word for it, man. The Harris Teeter never lies.
Yeah, I trust Harris Teeter. I did bring the scale from the men's room to weigh this lettuce. Don't worry, I sanitized the scale before we were going to attempt to weigh it. Unfortunately, the lettuce weighs too little to be picked up by the scale, which even more shows to me that it is in fact 1 pound because you weighed it this morning at Harris Teeter. I believe you. I trust you. Can't wait for that. But like you said, we have business to attend to first. And the business is Mizzou did it, baby. They did it. They swept Texas A&M. They got up off the mat. They put it all together finally. Here come the Tigers. Love to see it.
9-6 in game 1, 4-1 in game 2, 10-1 in game 3. It was really the bullpen count. I mean, at one point, there was a 15 and a third inning streak of scoreless baseball up until an error in game 2 of the 9th inning in that 4-1 win on Saturday. I mean, Sam Horn, a backup quarterback in game 2, and Tony Newbeck, they hold on for 0 hits through 5 inning pitch combined. And then you look at game 3, where that bullpen really shined. I mean, Will Libbert went 1 hit, 1 run, 5 innings pitched, and then behind him it was Josh McDevitt, 4 innings pitched, 0 runs, 5 Ks, and I think just a couple of walks to go along with that. I mean, the bullpen was blouses all weekend long, but I think we should start with game 1 and what really got Missouri off the schneid here, and it was a 6-run 9th inning. Texas A&M was up 6-3 in game 1, just 3 outs away, and then complete disaster and utter nightmare struck.
Yeah, complete disaster is exactly the right way to put it for Texas A&M. Texas A&M led 6-1 after 3 innings, let alone 6-3 in the 9th inning. And then Mizzou comes all the way back, and that certainly turned the tide for this entire series because you look at game 2 and game 3, Mizzou never trailed. 4-1 game 2, 10-1 game 3. You talked about how good the pitching was, and really Mizzou's just getting healthy at the right time. They have been bevied by injuries the entire season. 40% of their roster has had a physical setback of some kind throughout the year. They got Josh McDevitt back. Tony Newbeck has dealt with multiple arm issues. Xavier Lovett is finally, is coming into his own. He's that veteran guy that's that linchpin in the bullpen. But you have him, you have Caden Jacoby, Brock Lucas is rounding into form, and you mentioned Will Libbert as well. All sensational this weekend in a series that really for Mizzou, they're playing with nothing to lose. Texas A&M had everything to lose because while they've been surging, they still needed this series and the series against Georgia to get into the postseason with that magical 13-14 conference wins. Well, they have 10 right now, and they go to Georgia to close the year. So A&M is teetering on disaster right now. They have to win the series against Georgia for sure. They need to sweep Georgia in Athens to feel comfortable going into Hoover. Otherwise, they're going to need to at least get to probably the semifinals in Hoover to make the postseason, which, as you said, that would make them the first preseason #1 team to miss the NCAA tournament since 1991. So disaster for A&M, but blouses for Missouri. It's their first SEC road sweep since 2017. 34 series since Mizzou last swept an SEC team on the road. It was at Tennessee in 2017, the last series of the year, 2017, when they last did it. So claps for Missouri. Amazing job. Well done. I just talked to Matt Tarnawa of the Mizzou Radio Network, their analyst, yesterday, and he basically said, look, we've been playing good baseball, better baseball for the last 3 weeks. This was just the culmination of that. So Mizzou's feeling good about themselves. Why not us, Mizzou? Why not?
Rank Mizzou. Damn it. Rank them. They've got an RPI of 135. They're 4-22 in quad one games. 3 of those come this past weekend in College Station. First road sweep in 8 years, as you indicated. Over the last 8 completed seasons, just for some SEC full circle stuff here, because 8 was in my head, because Arkansas has eclipsed 18 wins in now 8 consecutive completed SEC seasons. First team since LSU, ending in the 2005 season. We'll get to Arkansas and LSU. We'll get to Vanderbilt and Texas. Or Vanderbilt and Tennessee, Texas and Florida. We'll hit on the other leagues. Trust me. Even the non-P4 teams that are in the top 25, including Oregon State, yes, who's still sitting there in the top 10 at number 7. LSU is your new number 1. They head to South Carolina this weekend after taking 2 out of 3 from Arkansas. Florida State at 2, Texas 3 after dropping a series to Florida at Dish Falk this past weekend. Carolina at 4. It sucks they couldn't get game 3 in against NC State. They each split. There's a half game between the Tar Heels and the Wolfpack in the ACC standings. It's down the wire. It's a jumbled mess in the ACC. It really is a beautiful thing. Auburn is at 6 behind Oregon, who's 5, swept Washington this past weekend. Auburn just completely shellacked and curb stomped South Carolina at the Plains. I've got some notes on them. I don't want to jump too much around from really the main overarching stories right now, which is Missouri getting off the schneid. The non-P4 teams that are cluttering the top 25. Oregon State, as I said, is at 7, but you've got Coastal at 11, Irvine at 12, Southern Miss at 19, Troy at 22. Hasn't lost a weekend series all year long. They have Southern Miss this weekend. I don't think you or I really gave Troy enough credit when we were visiting with Matthew Russo last week of Southern Miss. And why would we? We're spotlighting the Golden Eagles, who have now won 12 straight games. Their RPI is up to 30. They swept Louisiana this past weekend at home. 38-13, 21-6 in the league. Still an outside chance they could get the number 1 seed in the Fun Belt tournament. Coastal would have to, have a similar nightmare that Texas A&M suffered at home against Missouri. Dominion. So, I mean, that's unlikely. But Troy is right there, 3rd in the league at 18-9, 37-16 overall, just 3 games back in the win column of Southern Miss. And then DBU, 36-13, 19-5, ranked 24th, 20 RPI. Magic number is 1 for the Patriots. They're at Liberty this weekend. 25th ranked Northeastern, who continues to rake. The big midweek against UConn, which you and I talked about a couple of weeks back. That's coming up on Tuesday. 41-9, 22-2, program record for wins in the league. And they've won 20 straight games overall. I thought we should give some of these quote-unquote little guys, non-P4, some shine off the top too, because there is spectacular baseball being played in every corner of the country.
No, we absolutely should. Well, let's start with the Fun Belt, though, because you talked about Coastal, Southern Miss, and Troy. You're right. We have not given Troy enough flowers this year to be the only team in the nation to never lose a weekend series at 13-0. That is hard to do no matter what league you're playing in, who you are. Well done to the Trojans. They close against Southern Miss, who's only lost 1 series on the weekend this year, 12-1. So that's a whale of a series to close the year. Now, Troy does not have a chance to win the Sun Belt. They are 5 games back of Coastal. However, Southern Miss is only 2 games back of Coastal. Coastal closes at Old Dominion. So that is still up for grabs. But Coastal is on a heater unlike any other. 5 straight Sun Belt sweeps. Not just wins. 5 straight Sun Belt sweeps. They've won 15 in a row in Sun Belt play. 11 wins in a row overall. 7 straight series wins overall. And the first 40-win season for the Chanticleers since they won the College World Series in 2016. So huge props to Coastal. For Southern Miss, they've also won 5 straight series wins. They have the second longest winning streak in the nation at 12, behind Northeastern at 20. And Southern Miss, they're hitting the crap out of the ball. They've homered in 19 straight games. They are 8 shy of the program record set in 1997. They have 87 homers on the year. The record is 95, set back in 1997. They've homered in 35 of their last 38 games. So huge props to all 3 of those teams in the Sun Belt who are going to be dangerous in the postseason: Coastal, Southern Miss, and Troy. You mentioned Northeastern. They're number 25 in the nation. They have the best pitching staff in college baseball. They're number 1 in the nation in ERA, shutouts, walks per game allowed, and whip. They have the best win percentage in the nation, and they've allowed less than 2 runs per game in this 20-win streak. So how about that for Northeastern? And then we have to mention UConn, the Huskies, who clinched a share of the Big East regular season title this past weekend. They're 33-18 overall. They swept Butler, outscored them 36-11, won 7 in a row. They're 17-4 in the Big East. They have a 3-game lead on Creighton. Creighton did win the regular series, though, in the regular season. That's why the Big East title is not locked up yet, but the magic number is 1. 1 win for UConn against Maine, or 1 loss for Creighton at Georgetown, and the Huskies are your Big East regular season champs. So there's your non-P4 love. 3 in the Sun Belt, UConn and Northeastern. Love it all. Cause chaos. We love chaos, especially with the regional rundown coming up.
UConn was dead and buried 3 weeks into the season. However, there wasn't enough dirt shoveled over their carcasses. They have risen from the dead over the last couple of months, and UConn, one of those teams that continues to surge. Troy, one more note on them. They have not lost a weekend series, which I've already said, but they have not swept since March 2nd. So the first 3 weeks of the year, Troy collected a sweep. They swept each of their first 3 tests. But since then, they have not been able to sweep. Wow. So you talk about Coastal, who's had, 5 straight sweeps?
5 straight, yep.
And then Troy in the Sun Belt just can't get a sweep. They can't buy one. And not in conference play at all. Not since March 2nd.
Amazing.
So interesting nugget there for Troy. The men of Troy will have Southern Miss at home this weekend. We do have conference tournaments to talk about, too. I think you and I should do a quote-unquote deep dive, and you know how deep I really want to get, but I'm just teeing up Thursday's show for you.
Yes.
I think we should focus most, if not all, of our attention on the Southland tournament, which gets underway Thursday, in 2 separate brackets, 2 separate sites. What? I know one of them is the Hammond bracket.
Yeah.
For Southeastern,
so
who's the number 1 seed in that pod. Okay.
Yep.
But then there's another one, and I'm forgetting off the top of my head where it's being played. They're doing 2 separate 4-team pods. You can pull this up as I'm talking. And then what they're doing is they're taking the winner from each of those pods and playing a 3-game series next weekend.
Oh, my God.
It's incredible. Yeah. Incredible stuff. Then the Patriot League, we had Army lose game 1 against Navy. They come back, sweep a doubleheader. They're looking for a 7 straight automatic qualifying bid out of the Patriot League, and they're going to go up against Holy Cross this weekend as they will play a 2 out of 3 series. Holy Cross downing Lehigh this past weekend. Yeah, the Southland is an absolute jumbled mess. We should focus on the Southland and the Patriot League.
It's the Edinburgh bracket, but yes, I agree. I believe it's hosted by UT Rio Grande Valley.
Okay.
Is that right?
The Vaqueros? I thought they were were 3rd.
Okay. No, they're number 2. Lamar is number 3.
Okay.
But actually, they have Lamar in the number 1 game, so maybe it is hosted by Lamar. Where is Edinburgh's in Texas, though?
There might be a bid ahead of time to figure out where these pods are. But then you might have a team that's not even competing who's hosting, which I guess could happen in years like with CUSA, where not everybody's invited. Liberty's hosting this year. So I guess that's a risk that you would run anytime you're doing on-campus tournament sites where not everybody is invited. But here, you're doing 2 separate venues.
Hosted by UTRGV, just confirmed. Hosted by UTRGV in the Edinburgh bracket.
Yeah, so that had to have been secured ahead of time. It's not based on the seeding.
Well, no, UTRGV is number 2. They are number 2.
So, okay, yes. Gotcha. All right.
Yes. One more note for you on the non-P4s, because I did want to bring this up. There are 10 teams in college baseball that have 40 wins on the season. Half of them are non-P4. Half. Can you name them?
Half are non-P4.
Yes, I'm sure you can name the P4 ones that have 40. That's pretty easy.
Well, but 2 of them we've already talked about. Coastal Carolina with their 5 consecutive sweeps. Yes. By the way, they outscored who'd they play this weekend? This past weekend? ULM 22-6 in 25 innings. One of those a run roll. Just
Warhawks.
Absolute beatdown. 12 RPI.
Yep.
Highest non-P4 next to Oregon State, who's at 6. So are we counting Oregon? Is Oregon State at 40?
Oregon State is not at 40.
Okay, so Coastal and Northeastern.
That's 2. That's 2 of the 5. Yes.
Lamar.
Yes, that's 3.
I think Lamar's got back-to-back 40-win seasons.
Yes. 2 more. We have talked about both of these on the podcast this year. At length, actually.
Is it Irvine? No, it's not Irvine.
No, it's
Cal
not
Poly.
Irvine.
Cal
Nope.
Poly.
One of them we haven't talked about in quite some time. This team that I'm talking about now, we talked about hosting, but it's
Western
fallen off
Kentucky.
the wagon. There you go. And then the other one, we highlighted a player with the initials LMG last year.
George Mason. Oh, no, Austin Peay.
There you go.
I was
That's
thinking
the
of
5.
James Quinn Irons for a moment.
That's the 5. Oh, yeah. So Coastal, Northeastern, Western Kentucky, Austin Peay, Lamar. Can you name the 5 Power 4? You probably can. It's pretty easy.
Arkansas.
Yep.
You say it's easy.
It is. 4 in the SEC.
LSU.
Yep. Two more SEC teams.
Ooh, 2 more. Texas.
Don't overthink it.
Okay. And
don't overthink it.
Georgia.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
And the last one, you know who the last one is. It's my favorite.
West Virginia.
There you go. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's good exercise. Appreciate
Yes.
that. We will have even more exercising of our mouths. At least I will, with a head of lettuce in about 15 minutes. So we got a lot to get through in 15 minutes time. Let's go back to the SEC. I want to talk about the symmetry of last season at Georgia, what Florida had to do, and now what Texas A&M might have to do in the same situation going to Georgia. Now, Florida took 2 out of 3 to get the 13 wins, or their aggregate might have been 14 with Hoover. I can't really. Either way, they got the 13 wins in the league.
Yes.
With a series win at Georgia, to complete the regular season before a trip to Hoover. Can Texas A&M do the same thing? To your point, yes, I believe they have to sweep. They're 10-17 in the league, 27-23 overall. If you don't sweep and you just take 2 and you win the series, you're going to have to win 2, probably 3 games at least in Hoover to make it to the semis, which you've already laid out. But I thought there was some unique symmetry that Georgia's at home again with a team fighting and scratching and clawing for their lives. Like, you can't put Georgia in a better position to end the regular season, especially they battered and bruised Alabama in game 1, and then the Tide ran away, winning 2 out of 3 at home over Georgia this past weekend. Alabama has 15 ranked wins on the country, 2 more than any other team. I'm curious, because it's Alabama and Florida this weekend, just keeping the SEC theme for now. I want to go to Tennessee and Vanderbilt and touch more on Florida and Texas, what we saw this past weekend. And the big one was Arkansas and LSU. So we've got to move here. But Alabama and Florida, they're playing in Gainesville this week. Is the winner of this, I know if Alabama wins, they're one of 16 to host. But if Florida wins this series, does that put them into the hosting conversation? Alabama ranked 18th. Florida now into the top 25 at 23. Florida started 1-11 in the SEC. They're 12-3 since then. RPI's 13. Bama's is at 8, so it's better. Again, 2 more ranked wins than anybody else in the country. Massive home series win over Georgia. 19 quad 1 and quad 2 teams. It's hard to stack up against that Florida just with 15.
Yeah, well, Florida's scorching hot right now. They've won 5 straight series, 15 of their last 19 overall, 12 of their last 15 in the league, including series wins at number 1 Texas and against Arkansas at number 5. So hard to argue against Florida playing their best baseball at the right time, as they were last year. Kevin O'Sullivan always does this. It's the same thing as Butch Thompson at Auburn, who's incredibly hot right now. They torpedoed South Carolina 46-15 in their 3-game sweep of the Gamecocks over the span of 2 days, including a win on a walk-off suicide squeeze, LOL. So it's hard to argue that Florida wouldn't be capable of hosting. I don't know if they have the metrics to do it yet. They'll be if let's say they win the series against Alabama, they're at 15 SEC wins, 37 wins overall. I'm not sure if that does enough for them. Now, if they sweep Alabama, maybe that's 16 SEC wins. That's 38 wins on the season. Those are great numbers, especially with the fact that you've won 6 straight series going into the postseason. I still think they probably, to secure a hosting berth, would need to make it to that quarterfinal round, that Thursday, Friday of the SEC, to feel good about hosting. But they're on the right track. I mean, you gotta keep winning if you're Florida. You're not in the hosting picture right now. You're on the outside looking in. But you sweep Alabama and you win a couple of games in Hoover, yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Florida won 8-2 in game one over Texas. Kevin O'Sullivan had to burn Liam Peterson again, second straight start with weather issues going on. LSU, I heard Jay Johnson say 16 of LSU's games have been impacted by late starts and weather changes this year. I mean, this has been an absolute dreadful year for weather. It's something that you sign up for and you contend with each and every year, but especially the last few weeks across the Deep South and the Southeast. But Florida winning 8-2 in spite of Liam Pearson getting burned and not coming back after just 4 innings. He threw 3 1/3 the weekend prior. They lose 5-2 in game 2, and then the rubber match, 4-1 victory. Kahn, how about freshman Aiden King? 7 shutout innings, 2 hits for my man. Across, I believe, 7 shutout innings. I mean, Aiden King 9 strikeouts. He has emerged as just one of the biggest freshman phenoms across the country. And this Florida team, like, they've been playing hurt. I hope to get a little bit more perspective on who exactly went out when over the next week or so as we prepare to go to Hoover. But, no Colby Shelton, no Cade Curlin. You're down 4 left-handed arms. You move Jake Clemente to the back of the bullpen. All of a sudden, he's got 6 saves. I mean, it has been a season-saving move, moving him to the back, but also getting all these other dudes to believe and be forced to contribute, maybe in ways that they didn't initially expect. But it's been the concoction that Kevin O'Sullivan, granted, it's not what he asked for these injuries and navigate all this, but it's been the recipe to put Florida back on the map. Again, 1-11 start, 12-3 since. They were 13-3 heading into this weekend at Texas. So now they're 15-4 over their last 19. Sully said on Rally Cap the other day when I was watching, it makes filling out the lineup card a lot easier when he's dealing with all the injuries. Love that.
Yes, but he also was saying earlier in the year, I don't know who's going to pitch on any given day because I have nobody left. Like, he was so bruised and battered, and that's kind of what Missouri was feeling in the their dog days of April, of like, who do I got? Like, Carrick Jackson's like, I don't have anybody left. You guys are just going to have to deal with it. Like, it's tough, but it's the truth. It's the nature of the beast in college baseball. And Kevin O'Sullivan and Florida have weathered the storm, and just like always, our national champion picks in the preseason. Woo! Skyrocketing. And you want to be playing your best baseball right now. And that's why you got to feel really good about teams like Auburn, LSU, Florida. Missouri's not going to make the postseason unless they win it all in Hoover, but still, you feel good about them closing the year. Auburn doing it again. Butch Thompson always closes the season strong. You got to feel good about those teams, and why you have to be a little down on teams like Tennessee, on Texas, on Clemson, who lost another series and still really can't hit the baseball. Like, it's tough, but if you're not playing well in May, you tend to get beat. It's the nature of the beast. Georgia, perfect example. Georgia lays down and dies in the SEC tournament every single year. Usually because
I've never called a Georgia game.
Exactly. They're always the first game of the day. It's always Tim and I, and Georgia always loses. Take it to the bank. So Georgia, same scenario as last year, right? They had a chance to be a top 8, but they were already locked as a top 16 going into the final weekend of the regular season. They said, we don't really care if we get to a top 8. They lost the series to Florida, went 1 and done in Hoover, top 16. Same scenario this year.
They still slid in, though, as the 8, right? Because State was the 9. State went to Athens. So even with that said,
you're right.
They still got the benefit of the doubt. Which I don't think sets.
So why would they think any different for this year? Why would they not just say, A&M, you need help? Here you go.
Why not? Why not? Hey, just friends helping friends in the conference. Yep. It just means more. SEC softball got 14 bids.
I know.
14 bids of 15 potential
about to get the
teams.
Same thing. Yeah. 7
of the top 8 national seeds in softball are from the SEC. 7 of the top 8. I'm not misspeaking. Well, yes. I think it's Florida State is the only non-SEC team among the top 8 national seeds. By the way, real shame. I got to say it.
Yeah.
It just meant less. It just meant less this past weekend. They didn't play the championship game between Texas A&M and Oklahoma because of the rain in Athens. You hate to see it. I mean, that was going to be a blockbuster bout
Yeah.
And we didn't get it. Co-champions.
No, we didn't get it. And did you see when they announced on the selection show that Boston University was playing Oklahoma?
Yeah, and everybody was flipping out saying, first of all, I've never heard the term surrender cobra in my entire life. What is that? When you put your hands on your head and you're just in disbelief? Okay.
You're like,
never heard that in my life. It's like everybody adopted this as, yeah, that's surrender cobra. I'm like, bro, I've never heard you say that ever. I don't know what that is. That's me being holy smokes and putting my hands on my head. I get it's a cobra. Why? Because it looks like you got flaps on the side of your head. I guess.
Well, no, the cobra's head is like this. This is the whole head, and your mouth is like you're getting ready to. Like, this is the whole cobra. Look at what a cobra looks like.
Yeah, but those aren't flaps? Like elephant ears?
Part of the head.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like an extra. I thought it was like
Jesus.
I thought it was extra like head dressing to the cobra.
No.
Okay. I'm going to have to study the cobra a little bit more deeply when we get off this pod. But yeah, the Boston University coach came on and tried to actually add some more clarity to that, because everybody's like, oh, yeah, this is how teams react when they draw Oklahoma. No, they've drawn Oklahoma like 4 out of the last 5 tournaments.
It's again. Yeah, that's why they're doing it, because they're like, again, are you kidding me?
How about another experience for our girls, who, by the way, the one year they didn't play at Oklahoma, they played at Oklahoma State. How about you send them somewhere else geographically? That's all they're asking for. My goodness. I hope that doesn't mean I'm just worried now about getting an SEC baseball championship game. Okay? Just pray into the weather gods.
Knock on wood 3 times. Do it right now.
Maybe Pelham Diner will decide to reopen for us, and all will be right in the world.
Biscuit Belly. I don't care.
Biscuit Belly, I am coming for you. All right, Arkansas and LSU. Cade Anderson, Anthony Ianson, maybe the best 1-2 punch in the entire country. Game 1 could have went either way. Zach Root was spectacular on the mound. He had a great diving play at the plate, too, I think it was on a squeeze bunt opportunity. That was just highlight reel stuff. I mean, you love to see that when your pitcher is already locating and throwing strikes and can be as dominant, it already juices you up, as Dave Van Horn talked about, getting in and out of the dugout, coming up and supporting your guy. But when he's laying it all on the line, diving, making a sprawling tag at the plate, I mean, that just works wonders for your ball club. And it was a heavyweight back and forth slugfest type thing, low scoring, tremendous pitching, but it all came down to timely hitting. And it was a walk-off 3 hours after the game was supposed to start. Again, 2 weeks prior, we're in the same situation with Tennessee at LSU. They start the game just before the deadline, just before 10 o'clock p.m. locally, Central Time, 9:57, the recorded first pitch. And then they get a walk-off on a sac fly. LSU does at 1:17 a.m., give or take, depending on your resource, 1:15, 1:16, 1:17. But that's the same exact time that they delivered the knockout blow with the massive 3-run walk-off bomb from Jared Jones, Bear Jones, 2 weeks earlier against Tennessee. LSU is 6-0 in games that start on Friday night and early Saturday morning. 16th game, as Jay Johnson talked about, that's been affected by rain this year. The Rally Possum, it was out, maybe not, literally, but certainly figuratively, and it helped propel LSU, David, to a 13-3 mashing in 7 innings for another walk-off. Very different reasons. A monster Milam strikeout where the ball ricocheted free, and then the run comes in from third and scores ahead of a tag. Well, really, he was calling a rundown. Ryder Helfrich fired it down to third. I think Reese Robinette was there, made the save. Throw was tad high coming into the plate. But back-to-back walk-offs, very different reasons. But again, game 1 could have went either way, Con. And what I'm getting at is I don't feel any differently about Arkansas at this point. I think Arkansas, at their best, can beat anybody in the country and can win in College World Series if things go their way. They fall to number 8 in the rankings. LSU moves up to number 1. Arkansas does salvage game 3 of the series. Jay Johnson, super respectful of DVH. This is an intense, respectful rivalry. It's not like Tennessee and Vanderbilt. There might be respect, but nobody's going to admit it. With LSU and Arkansas, there's respect, and everybody will admit it. And LSU wins a 9th home series in 10 tries over Arkansas.
Amazing stuff. You mentioned it. Also, we should give props to Jay Johnson in his 250th game, tying the best start in LSU history with Skip Bertman, 177 and 73. Now 74 because they lost 1 game to Arkansas. But still, they lost game 3, I should say. But still, props to JJ for 250 games, getting that 177-73, matching the best start in coaching history with Skip Bertman. So want to mention that as well. But yeah, heavyweight bout, Great series all weekend. Don't feel any differently about Arkansas despite them losing the series. Very different than how I feel about Tennessee after losing their 4th straight series this weekend to Vanderbilt. And there was no love lost in that series in Knoxville, where Vanderbilt comes in and takes 2 out of 3.
4 straight home series. They did at least have the one series win at Ole Miss to squeeze in.
Yes.
Not to
4
cut
straight
you off,
home series. No. Correct. 4 straight home series. Cut me off. I don't care. Four straight home series.
We'll cut you off with this head of lettuce here in about 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes. We'll go a few minutes late, but 5 minutes. I'm consuming this entire 1 pound head of lettuce in 2 minutes and 30 seconds or less. 2:34 does get me under the gun. Now the thing is, we don't have a timer, so you're gonna have that. And you're gonna have to
I have
flash.
a timer.
Okay, all right. We'll go through all that, but in 4 minutes time. Okay, 11:35 Eastern. Drop dead everything. I'm reading the creed. We're going.
Yes, reading the creed. We'll go through the rules, all that stuff. But no, the drama Vanderbilt Tennessee was amazing. There was a huge rain delay in the last game as well. For Vanderbilt and Tennessee, there was the late uniform switch by Tony Vitello. Tennessee going back to the dark uniforms, forcing Vanderbilt back into their whites late into the night after Game 2 concluded, just to try and irk Vanderbilt a little bit. Guess what? It did, but it didn't have the desired effect that Tony Vitello and Tennessee wanted. They brawled after the series was over. Vanderbilt won Game 3, and then all of a sudden the bench is clear again. And credit Tom Hart on ESPN, because he very, very quietly and calmly was like, "Oh, they're just wishing each other happy Mother's Day. Good night from Knoxville."
I watched almost that entire game. Tom Hart used that line in the first inning when Andrew Fisher was running. But you can bring it back out, okay? Because a lot of time had passed and you had the delay of roughly 2 hours or whatever it was. Sunday Night Baseball, man, needs to be a thing in the college game, especially with this whole ESPN Major League Baseball divorce that's going to be happening. Let's feature a pair of college baseball teams in what had been the traditional Major League Baseball platform on Sunday nights. Let's spotlight college baseball. And that's kind of what we had. It had some old nostalgia. And that used to go on back in the day, if I'm not mistaken. I think Mark Etheridge tweeted about that, how there used to be a couple of college games late on a Sunday night in the past. But Andrew Fisher hit a bomb in the first inning, was saying, "This is my effing house," all the way around the bases, taunting every single Vanderbilt player in the field. He stomped on home. Colin Barnsey, the catcher, gave him a piece of his mind. You can see the whole Vanderbilt dugout hurling back expletives at Andrew Fisher as he was very boisterous rounding third. And this is what we love about baseball. It's a catch-22 type thing. You know, you can't speak out of both sides of your mouth here. You want this energy. You want this passion, the tenacity, the rivalry. This is arch-rival matchup. These two teams do not like each other, but there is respect between Vitello and Corbin. But still, this is the beautiful part of baseball in general, the intimacy and the way these guys can stir it up and try to irk and get under each other's skin. It's up to the umpires to at least enforce and keep it from getting out of hand. Nobody was ever ejected in this contest, so I think the umpiring crew did a phenomenal job because it allowed the entertainment to still seep through. And for Colin Barnsey, who saw Andrew Fisher do what he did, rounding the bases in his first of 2 home runs early in that game, for Barnsey to then come up the next inning and blast the first of his 2 home runs, that's how you shut the other team up. That's how you make an example. That's how you punch back. And the punchbacks was of epic proportions for this entire series. Liam Peterson, give him ass honors, all Schass squad. I don't know why we haven't secured him as my one left-handed pitcher yet, but he is the left-handed pitcher on the ass squad, okay? All Schass squad.
Liam Peterson from Florida?
Liam Doyle, sorry.
Thank you, okay.
Messing up my Liams. Liam Doyle is my left-handed selection. He was lights out in Game 1. Vanderbilt comes back, evens up the series on Saturday, and then Sunday Vanderbilt takes it, winning for Vandy, 4 out of 5 series, 3 out of 4 weekend wins for them. Ethan McIlvaine, his last 6 appearances, closer for the Doors. Last 6 appearances, no runs allowed, 12 Ks in 8 innings. 12 Ks in 8 innings. And then, of course, the dust up at the end. Hunter Ensley didn't like that Vanderbilt probably was saying, yeah, get off the field. We won. He went to go entertain the congratulatory exchanges between Commodore fans near the mound, the umpires and the coaches, all had to get involved again. And that's when the Mother's Day, pleasantries was reenacted by Tom Hart. And he wasn't wrong. He wasn't. Yeah,
no,
he was mostly wrong.
Phenomenal. I mean, he knew he was wrong, but it was fine. Yeah, phenomenal stuff. Phenomenal series. Congrats to Vanderbilt for winning a big time series. And Tennessee really really needs a series win this weekend to close. Who do they close with? I didn't even
Arkansas.
look.
At
Oh,
Arkansas.
my God. Oh, Tennessee. You need that series so bad. If they don't win that series, they're not hosting.
No.
They're not hosting at all. They may not even be hosting right now.
They allowed 10 more stolen bags this past weekend, including 8 in Game 2, which was a Marcus Phillips start for Tennessee, which seems to be the constant theme.
Yeah.
And Bugaboo, that's 280th in the country. 99 total stolen bases allowed as a team.
Oh, my God.
Tennessee this year, 280th. They're also not faring so well in fielding percentage. Also, it's at 970, which is not good relative to the rest of the country. All right, man. There's plenty of other things we can get to. We'll try to
later
clean up on the back end. Maybe get to a couple of dudes, hat tips. We'll see how I feel after devouring this entire head of lettuce. I do want to remind everyone about Baseball Barbecue, though. BaseballBarbecue.com. Promo code is 3D-20. Get 20% off. Hopefully you got mom that. You took care of her, at least whether it was through your own, maneuvering at the grill with these incredible, handcrafted, high-quality grill utensils with your favorite Major League Baseball team or collegiate team. More than 40 different collegiate teams are part of the BaseballBarbecue.com family, or you hooked her up with some swag and maybe she's a griller herself. You gifted her. But now, look, you can take care of yourself and you can take care of the others that maybe couldn't capitalize before. Go to BaseballBarbecue.com. Again, 3D. 3D-20. You can't get a head start. You can never have more of a head start on any of these holidays.
Hot Carl's in town.
Hot Carl is in town. He's going to fly through this building at about 2:30. So,
I get to meet Hot Carl
with the little bro. Old Tasmanian Devil Carson is here. Hot Carl's wife, Robin's also here. So they're here for a few days to uproot my life and create chaos. So, no, I'm very blessed, very thankful that they are here. So 3D-20, BaseballBarbecue.com. Fun, functional, perfect for casual fans or serious grillers. We'll get to a Borgoball moment on the back end of this head of lettuce. So, Kahn, you are the MC. You are the aficionado. You tell me what I need to do. I've got the creed teed up, but let's remind folks what is happening here and how this idea is now coming to fruition.
Yeah, so I saw this on Instagram last week, actually. The University of Minnesota has a lettuce club in which they meet once a year to consume a single head of 1 pound, exactly 1 pound, of iceberg lettuce, not romaine, iceberg only. And they meet once a year, and the winner of the challenge, which is whoever eats it the fastest, is declared head lettuce for that year. And you cannot be graduating that year. You have to have at least 1 year left of your college career to be head lettuce. If you are a senior and you win, you are declared head lettuce emeritus, which means outgoing. And then there's another head of lettuce declared. This has been going on since 2019. The current record is 2 minutes and 35 seconds, set in the fall of 2021 by Hampton Weber. So, of course, I sent this to Kyle Schassburger, who eats heads of lettuce for breakfast, lunch, dinner, second dinner, snacks. Doesn't matter. He eats them all the time. He fills up the office fridge with them. He has them at his desk at all times.
It's my bag.
It is his bag. I had to put it on Kyle's radar. Kyle immediately, as I knew he would, said, well, I gotta beat the record. 235, that's nothing. I'm going to do it. So we are here today to determine if Kyle Schassburger can actually break the record of 2 minutes and 35 seconds. So consuming a full head of lettuce. So Schass, let me go through the rules here. Iceberg lettuce. You have iceberg lettuce.
I got it.
All right. He's got iceberg lettuce. Is your lettuce at least 1 pound?
Walked into the Harris Teeter this morning, grabbed a pound, walked over to the scale, left my phone in the car so I could not take a picture. But trust me, Scout's honor. Okay? I'm going to raise my right hand. Scout's honor with 2 fingers. I don't know what this means, but this just feels right now. Trust me, it is stepped onto the scale. It clocks in at exactly 1.01 pounds.
All right. Acceptable. Okay. You need to eat the full head. You are allowed to wash the outside of the lettuce.
we're not pausing this, so I guess I'm just
Okay.
eating a dirty head.
All right.
It wouldn't be the first time.
Yep. No dressing for you. It is allowed, but you said no.
No.
You are allowed a plate or a bowl because you need to finish the scraps that fall down during consumption. Do you have any kind of catch-all below you?
I got the bag that it came in, but I guess I'll just have to,
just eat it.
Look, I'm a big subscriber of leaving it better than you found it. So when I exit stage left from this podcast, live recording and taping and presentation, I will make sure I clean up after myself. Okay.
All right.
It'll look better than it did before we hit start.
All right. The winner is declared by raising the stem of the lettuce. So when you're done, show me the stem. Your mouth must be empty. You must show me the stem. That is how you determine that you have won. All right. Those are the rules. So now, Kyle Schassburger, you must state the lettuce creed. Please place your right hand on the lettuce and your left hand in the air and repeat after me.
I don't want to overblare you. Can you hear me over the music?
Lower it down a little more.
Okay.
All right.
I mixed this down very low in Adobe.
Yeah.
To help get in front of other issues we've had. Okay. All right.
You're good now. All right. Repeat after me. Let us compete today with honor, glory, and most importantly, a mild appetite for leafy vegetables.
Let us compete today with honor, glory, and most importantly, a mild appetite for leafy vegetables.
If we find ourselves growing weak, let the strength of the mighty iceberg carry us forward.
If we find ourselves growing weak, let the strength of the mighty iceberg carry us forward.
We must remain calm if we do not win, and be leaf in the new head lettuce to guide us.
We must remain... It's fantastic. We must remain calm if we do not win, and be leaf in the new head lettuce to guide us.
Even if we do not win, we will be grateful for this little gem of a club and for those of us that will go on to compete in the future.
Even if we do not win, we will be grateful for this little gem of a club and for those of us that will go on to compete in the future.
We better be prepared to toss salad once again.
We better be prepared to toss salad once again.
All right. So I do have a prize for you if you complete this, by the way. You don't know what it is because I kept it from you, but I have it. It is ready. So right now, I'm going to share my screen to put the timer up. So hang on here.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Sharing the screen. Very good.
Yeah. There you go.
This thing is filthy, by the way.
Oh, no. All right. So hang on. Let me adjust this screen view here. I want to see if I can get this differently. Let me see here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
That's what
Big
you want.
Schass and the timer. Okay. All right. That's what we wanted. Actually, let's try. Nope. There we go. Okay. That's good. All right. Very good, Schass. So I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, go. When I say go, I'm starting the timer. All right? All right. Are you ready?
Yeah, let me I'm going to lift up. Hopefully you've got some content here over the next 2:30.
I'm going to talk about the rest of the ACC, the Big 10, and the Big 12.
Duke homered 9 times against Clemson. Okay.
Yeah.
Duke has won 11 out of 13 games, scored 144 runs over the last 13 games alone. Georgia Tech for Danny Hall, beautiful outfield design to honor 17 as they're able to get a series victory over Louisville after getting pounced 16-2 in game 1.
You're taking all my content.
Sorry. And then there's Virginia, who swept Miami. So, yes.
All right. I'm going to talk about them. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
All right. You want to move your microphone? There you go. All right, here we go, Schass. All right. Prepare yourself. Yep. Turn the hat around. He's turned his hat around for the folks listening on the podcast. His microphone is up. Raise your lettuce to your face.
We need to make...
All right. He has raised the lettuce. Yeah, scoot over a little bit. There you go. Raise the lettuce up to your face.
Let me move this camera back just a little bit because I'm going to push my laptop I know you're not hearing this as well, but
I'm hearing it. Nope, I'm hearing you. Yep, you're good.
All right.
It's picking you up.
All right, we got it.
All right, lettuce to the face. On my mark. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, go. All right, Kyle Schassburger has started inhaling the lettuce. 5 seconds in, he has already taken a huge bite. We'll see if he can get this done. Let's talk about the ACC, folks, because it is an absolutely cluttered mess here at the top of the ACC standings. You got FSU at 16-8. They have a half-game lead on NC State. Georgia Tech, North Carolina, and Duke all within 2 games of top-seeded Florida State. So this weekend will be huge for the ACC. But teams on the way up. Virginia up 13 spots in the RPI to 60 at Virginia Tech to close. The Cavaliers getting hot at the right time, but Brian O'Connor's team needs to win that series in Blacksburg to close the season to feel good about getting into the NCAA tournament. Meanwhile, Duke, 9 homers this weekend, took 2 of 3 from Clemson, who's lost 3 straight series to Florida State, NC State, and Duke. By the way, 55 seconds in, Kyle Schassburger, how you doing? He looks like he's struggling. We're going on. Duke is up 8 spots in the RPI to 31. They are 16-11 in the ACC. Big series against Georgia Tech. Final regular season series for Danny Hall to close. NC State up 9 spots in the RPI to 25. They split with UNC over the weekend, but NC State has a chance if they win the series against Stanford to close the year to be in the hosting picture. Clemson at Pitt to close. They need to win that series or Clemson will not host likely at all. In the Big 12, West Virginia unable to secure a minute 5 left, Schass, a minute 5 left. West Virginia unable to secure the Big 12 regular season title. Kyle Schassburger's face is incredible right now. But they have a 1.5 game lead on Arizona State, 3-game lead on Kansas, who comes to Morgantown this weekend. West Virginia dropped 2 of 3 at Kansas State, blew a 5-run lead in the 9th in Game 1 after doing so at Pitt in the midweek on Tuesday. Their bullpen is exhausted. Reese Bassinger is the 2nd most innings of any regular season reliever, but the Mountaineers get 40 wins on the season. 35 seconds left, Schass. Their magic number to clinch the Big 12 is 1 win for West Virginia, 1 loss for Arizona State. West Virginia wins the Big 12. They've tied the program record for wins in a regular season with overall 1994 and 2023. It's the most regular season wins in West Virginia history. Arizona lost to Grand Canyon, lost 2 of 3 at Utah. They are down to 41 in the RPI, out as a host. 10 seconds left, Schass. 10 seconds. Is he going to do it? 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. Time has expired for Kyle Schassburger. He has that much left. Keep going, Schass. Let's see how long it takes you. Let's see how long it takes Kyle Schassburger to finish. Oh, he has so much left. Oh, it was harder than he thought, folks. It was harder than he thought. Kyle Schassburger, unable to do it, eat an entire head of lettuce in 2 minutes and 35 seconds. Great effort, man. I mean, that's impressive. You tried. You tried really hard.
I'll tell you what. Those kids at the University of Minnesota, y'all something special. Ethan Lai, who just won 2 weekends ago, 3 minutes, 32 seconds. I would have had trouble hitting that. I'm thinking my time, and I'm going to stop for the sake of the show. And so, we don't go completely off the rails here. I couldn't. 235 was my mark. That's what I was going for. If I wasn't going to get inside of Hampton, Weber, all-time record of 235, not worth finishing. Because if you're not first, you're last. That's one thing I take with me everywhere I go.
Yep. Well, however, I want you to talk about your experience for a second because I still have something to give you. So go ahead and talk.
Let me get some of these scraps off the table here. Hang on. As a guy who eats heads of lettuce regularly, but normally through about 3 sittings, I never once imagined trying to do a whole head up until 2 weekends ago, and I'm glad this fine man allowed me that opportunity. David Kahn standing to my right, for those watching on the stream. A lettuce headset. Yes. A lettuce-wrapped headset. How thoughtful. I am holding a pair of studio headphones in my hands. These are deep cut property of IMG Audio headsets. There's been a lot of wear and tear to these bad boys. They've been through hell and back. I don't even know if they're in commission anymore. Probably not, which is why Kahn chose them to then scotch tape lettuce around the top portion that wraps around and sits on your head comfortably. I'm sure these are going to be the most comfortable headphones to ever hit my bald dome. Let's try them on.
Yeah. So I did take scotch tape and tape some bib lettuce on the headset, just around the top portion. Oh, you look great. You look fantastic. Yeah. Oh, pose for the camera, baby. Kyle, for those watching on the audio podcast, Kyle Schassburger is smizing, I believe, as the kids say, smizing with the lettuce headset on his ears. He can't hear a word I'm saying right now, so I could say whatever I wanted. Kyle, you look good in that lettuce headset.
I was trying to give my best Blue Steel.
Oh, Blue Steel. I said you were smizing. Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Smizing. That's good. That's good. We're such delicately wrapped in beautiful iceberg lettuce.
Bib lettuce, actually.
Oh, yeah. This is an iceberg. That's okay.
No, it's not. Easier to wrap with bib lettuce than iceberg lettuce. But yeah, that was your honorary gift for your efforts.
I feel like I got a lot of lettuce in my stash now.
No, you look good. I don't see any in there. Yeah.
Oh, man. Wow. What a thrill. What an absolute thrill. I will eat the rest of this. I will probably save it, as I was saying before you came in, with my beautiful, just thoughtful, impactful gift that you produced for me. The what are we calling it? A headset of lettuce? A lettuce headset? Head lettuce.
Yeah.
Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect. I'm a little slower when it comes to these sorts of things. Head lettuce. Head lettuce.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
If you can't be the head lettuce, I give you head lettuce.
Put it on a t-shirt.
There you go.
Well
done. Yeah, that was well done. I'm impressed. Honestly, I didn't think you'd get that far.
I mean, I took down at least half of it. At least half of it.
You did. I bet you could have done it in under 5 minutes.
Under 5 would have been realistic, I think. But as I was saying before, like, and you laid out before the competition started, like, yeah, this is my bag. I frequent the head of lettuce. I'm the guy who walks around in the office, keeps one stocked in. It's great for snacking. I'll just walk and pluck or eat straight from the head, whatever it may be. Gets through my day. I rarely have like a regular lunch. I just kind of graze. But the head of lettuce is a great replacement and supplement to my diet, and helps to keep me in check for the other times where I'm not on my best behavior, which there are many of those times. But
like in Hoover.
Yes. There can be, next week is going to be a war. But even so, never considered taking down a whole head. If it weren't for the University of Minnesota, I would not be here today. So thank you for instilling this memory into our minds and initiating this charge, this experience, this podcast live presentation for David Kahn, for helping to officiate this and to provide me with the head lettuce gift and to be a great teammate for me at every turn and know what my needs are. He knows I have needs and he delivers. He is a very kind gentleman, and this extends beyond the podcast realm. I may not always reciprocate that or be the most pleasant man, but one thing I know is David Kahn is always looking out for your best interests, and that was on full display today. So thank you, kind sir.
You're very welcome. I am always there for you, my sir. Even whether it's personal, professional, or in lettuce needs, I'm here for you.
In lettuce.
All right, where did I even freaking get to? I talked about the ACC. I don't know. That was a blitz, dude. I hit on the ACC. I talked about the fact that Virginia, Duke, and NC State are on the way up. It's a cluttered mess at the top. 5 teams within 2 games of each other. Clemson has completely fallen off the wagon. If they don't win at Pitt this weekend, which, by the way, Pitt has turned the corner. You're right. If Clemson doesn't win at Pitt, if Clemson doesn't win the series this weekend at Pitt, they're not hosting, period. They did get a little more offense this week. They had 23 runs in the series overall, but they lost 2 out of 3. Now, they've lost to FSU, NC State, and Duke, all 3 teams on the rise in the postseason. So, you can't really die on that hill too much, but it's still 3 straight series losses for a team that was, had on the way skyrocketing towards the top of the leaderboard and top of the rankings. So you have to win this series at Pitt and then, do some damage at Durham to secure your hosting berth if you're Clemson. Big 12, I was going through this very quickly, very briskly. So let's go back through this again. West Virginia lost 2 of 3 at K-State. They did not secure the Big 12 regular season title. Kansas comes to town this weekend. Kansas, though, has fallen off. West Virginia has a 3-game lead on the Jayhawks, 1.5 on Arizona State. So the magic number is 1. West Virginia wins 1. Arizona State loses 1. The Mountaineers are your Big 12 regular season champions. All right? That's the magic number. The problem for West Virginia is, Schass, their bullpen is gassed. Their closer, Reese Bassinger, 54 and a third innings this year. It's the second most innings pitched of any regular reliever in the Big 12. He's torched right now, and he was in the 9th inning in both of those games, Pitt and Kansas State, when West Virginia blew that 5-run lead in the 9th inning on those 2 consecutive games. They've lost 5 of their last 7. Their pitching staff is just exhausted. So don't be surprised if West Virginia wins game 1 on Thursday against Kansas. I would not be surprised if Steve Saban says, I'm throwing whoever. Throw the freshman. Doesn't matter. Just rest your guys. You need it. Because you're going to go to Arlington next week. You're going to be playing on the second day. So you have an extra day off. So you're not going to play until Thursday. And then it's a 3-game series. Thursday, Friday, Saturday in the Big 12. West Virginia traditionally hasn't cared about winning the Big 12. Right now, they're locked in as a host. If you win the Big 12 regular season, you probably should be a host. So, as long as you don't stub your toe too much, you might just kind of, it's one and done in the Big 12 now this year. So West Virginia traditionally has kind of exited early, and I kind of think it's no secret. They're trying to set themselves right for the NCAA tournament. Give their guys some chance to rest. I wouldn't blame them if they did that again. Not on purpose, but no. They won't care if they go 0-1 in the Big 12 tournament. Now, would that knock them out of a hosting spot if they lose the series to Kansas as well?
Yeah, I think so.
You got to kind of play the odds.
Sure. Yeah.
A little bit. But props to K-State, who's now up 10 spots in the RPI to 36. They're 16-11 in the Big 12. And remember, they had a really tough non-con strength of schedule at 41. So they're looking better to be in the NCAA tournament. They win the series at Cincinnati to close the regular season. I think they're a lock for the tourney.
Arizona did what I think I TKO'd Arizona.
2 of 3 at Utah, they lost.
Talking about them and Utah in a Pac-12 matchup at the end of last week.
No,
Arizona, don't stub your toe. And then what do? They fall 17 spots in the RPI, lose 2 out of 3 to Utah, who hosts TCU this week. TCU right near the top of the Big 12. You just laid out all the scenarios here for West Virginia, who's the leader in the clubhouse, and with the magic number being 1, right? So Arizona State is behind them, directly behind West Virginia. They're at Oklahoma State this weekend, West Virginia hosting Kansas, which that series has lost some steam since we first were circling that, 4 to 6 weeks ago. I do want to rapid fire a couple other races or notes, and then we can try to get the hell out of here with a Borgoball moment from the weekend. I know you had one teed up. Jonah Williams, I don't know if you saw that from Texas, his at bat and drawing a walk against Florida in game 1. Yeah, that was something. We can maybe break that down on the way out the door. But Paxton Kling and Penn State is something we want to note. Before we get to that, dudes, hat tips, SDAs, quickly, 5-10 more minutes left on the show. I don't know if you're going to lunch for Rob. I am not, but
no,
let's try to wrap this thing up. Okay. Let's try to wrap this thing up. The Big 10 race. Oregon is at Iowa this weekend.
Dude,
Iowa's 21-6. UCLA 20-7. Oregon 19-8. Oregon holds the tiebreaker over UCLA, taking 2 out of 3 at home a few weeks back. 2 games separate these top 3 teams: Iowa, UCLA, and Oregon. USC is right on the outside of those top 3. UCLA is hosting Northwestern. Oregon can win the Big 10 this weekend.
Yes,
I expect them to. That's my surefire lock. They're going to go to Iowa. They're going to go to the home of the Hawkeyes, and they're going to win that series. At least 2 games.
2 of 3. All right.
Yeah, I'm not calling a sweep, but they will win that series. And by virtue of that, well, hang on. They will.
No, it's UCLA. UCLA has a 1-game lead on Oregon right now.
Oregon would need to sweep Iowa to even have the lead on Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they only win 2 games, that puts them at 21-9.
They would be tied with Iowa.
But then I would be winning one of those other games, which would put them at 22.
Right. So they need to sweep Iowa to win to have a chance to win the Big 10. They also would need UCLA to lose 2 out of 3.
Yeah, I'm not that bold or that smart. I do know Oregon's going to win the series, though, at Iowa this weekend.
All right.
So give me the Ducks over the Hawkeyes. Oregon State, meanwhile, who lives out in that land of the country, that part of just the loners, putting together their own schedule. 7th-ranked Beavers. Let's see. Game 3 ends against Iowa this past weekend. 6-6 tie. Curfew. Darkness. Neutral site game in Iowa. What are we doing? School is out.
Travel for Oregon State. That was the issue.
Change the travel. Wait, they don't have class, do they?
I don't know. First tie since 2002 for Iowa.
Beavers do move up 3 spots. Oregon State has a midweek game against Portland, host Long Beach State this weekend, who's got an RPI 154. It's a quad 4 series this weekend in Corvallis. Don't lose a game if you're trying to be one of 16. You would think at this point they're not going to, being ranked 7th nationally and already projected in most of these deliveries by D1 Baseball each and every week as one of 16 national seeds, one of 16 hosts, and potentially trying to solidify a case as a top 8 national seed. You can't lose a game. You can't lose a game this week. Not to Portland State in the midweek and not to Long Beach State. They got 5 guys hitting over 300. Ava Arquette, Gavin Turley, Jacob Krieg, all have double-digit home runs. Dax Whitney and Ethan Kleinschmidt, 163 combined Ks, 83 and 82. Maybe can say something to Kate Anderson and Anthony Einson as the 1-2 punch out of LSU. So that's what it looks like for Oregon State. Auburn, just circle back. I'm emptying the notebook, the clip here, Kahn. Auburn's sweep of South Carolina. Can we take a moment to give flowers? Not to say we haven't given Auburn their flowers. And it's gone from bad to worse for South Carolina, especially if you're into jumping into the mentions and pulling up a chair for South Carolina baseball Twitter nowadays. Just increasingly gets more gut-wrenching for the Gamecock faithful, considering what Paul Maneri has stood for his entire career. But 46 runs for Auburn, 3rd most runs scored in the SEC all-time across 3 games, 51 hits on the weekend series, including a 24-2 Game 1 win. 24-2 Game 1 win. 21 of those 51 hits were of extra bases. 9th straight series win at home, though, Kahn. This is what really struck me since the 02-03 season. Mm-hmm. They haven't won 9 straight at home in more than 20 years. 9 straight series.
Yeah.
Auburn baseball back at the map. Kentucky back in the NCAA picture squarely, I think, after sweeping Oklahoma. 5 straight SEC road series losses for the Sooners. Mississippi State 6-1 under Justin Parker. We saw this come. We called it. I'm pretty sure we called this.
We did.
8 of 9 series wins over rival Ole Miss. Ole Miss has dropped 4 of 5 series overall on the season.
Yep. That's I had the same notes as you. I do want to shout out Eric Guevara. He's one of my dudes of the week for Auburn. 12 of 16, 2 homers, 9 runs batted in the 3-game sweep of the Gamecocks. First Auburn player to record 3 or more 4-hit-plus games in an SEC season since 2000, when Gabe Gross did that. And he became the first player in the SEC to record 12 hits in a series since Tanner Allen from Mississippi State back in 2019.
Very good note there. I'm going to take the softball route, and then I have a special one that hits close to home. It hits close to, I think, everyone's homes because it was global news. It was global news as we were completing our show last week with Pope Leo the 14th, a Chicagoan, the first American Pope, putting Chicago back on the map for the best of reasons, make Chicago great again. But first, Najari Kennedy. I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but this Texas Tech pitcher, softball pitcher, she was the reigning Pac-12 pitcher of the year and player of the year from Stanford. She played her first 2 years at Stanford, transferred to Texas Tech because, well, she said she had always wanted to play at Texas Tech, but there's more to it. Surprise, surprise. An NIL deal, the collective at Texas Tech reportedly had ponied up $1 million for this woman. $1 million for her to leave Stanford and to go to Texas Tech. And it's paid off to this point. She pitched in every game in the Big 12 tournament. There are only 3 of them, I believe, for Texas Tech, but didn't allow a single run. This girl is, she's built like a linebacker, too. She is amazing. So I wanted to shine a light on her and a $1 million, you're not hearing me incorrectly, $1 million NIL deal for a softball player, leaving Stanford to go to Texas Tech. And Texas Tech trying to be a force to be reckoned with here as the NCAA tournament field is set. We'll continue to monitor that. We'll have coverage of the Women's College World Series as part of our regional rundown show, which will debut on May 30th, regional weekend, that Friday through Monday. David Kahn, myself, Dan Kortz, and a slew of other misfits will help to provide you wall-to-wall coverage across all 16 regional sites that weekend, opening weekend of the NCAA baseball tournament. Think of the NFL Red Zone channel, but for college baseball and for your ears. Inject it into your mind and your brain, most importantly, your soul. May 30th through June 2nd, as we will give you all those play-by-play drop-ins and keep tabs on every single game going on that weekend. All right, Pope Leo the 14th, the memes, the infusion of culture and history and arts and food and sports and everything that has just infiltrated my algorithm and every text message and DM since last Thursday involving Pope has just warmed my soul in unspeakable ways. And the best part about Pope Leo the 14th, there were reports initially he was from South Holland. That's where I grew up. It's Dalton, which is still, stone's throw neighboring town right next door. He's actually from my legit neck of the woods, Dalton, Illinois, which is where my parents met, which is where my mom grew up, went to high school in Dalton. So seen some of the images of his childhood home and all that in St. Mary's Church, which is, very dilapidated at this point. But still, it hits closer to home than most folks. Yeah, the Chicago aspect is pretty cool, but the actual where he is from on the south side of Chicago is pretty dope as well. I just wish he was indeed a Cubs fan, as was first reported, and then his brother had to refute those reports. So still, good guy. Pope Leo the 14th, big fan of Aurelio's Pizza, which is my personal favorite. I'll be consuming so much of that coming up in a couple of weeks' time when I go back home in early June, which is a staple hallmark of my childhood. Pope Leo the 14th was there just last year eating. And Poperoni Pizza is trademarked. It's on the menu.
Ooh. Wow. Okay. Well, how about that? I can't really beat that, but I do want to shout out Drew Farrow from Florida State, who tied the Seminoles program record with 12 straight hits, 4 for 4 in back-to-back games, 4 for 5 then in the series opener at Cal. He had 5 homers and 9 runs batted in that stretch, 2 hits shy of tying the NCAA record of 14, but he did get named the ACC Player of the Week. So shout out to Drew Farrell, my 1B dude of the week. For that, I do want to, by the way, before we go, I do want to shout out our friends at backyardbaseballbros.com. Go to backyardbaseballbros.com. The Ocean Storm sold out, gone, all 100.
Damn, that fast?
They're gone. Go to backyardbaseballbros.com. You can still get the original 4-pack of Borgoballs for $20. We have them. We love them. The Borgonio brothers, great story. Go to backyardbaseballbros.com. More limited editions, I'm sure, are coming. Those boys are lighting up, skyrocketing to the top. So we're proud to be partnered with them. And our Borgoball moment that delivered is you consuming the head of lettuce. That is the Borgoball moment that delivered. All right.
Yeah, move over Paxton Kling and Penn State winning on an action clock violation. Jonah Williams for your shenanigans, drawing a walk in a game that was essentially over, who also plays on the football team trying to hype himself up. Yes. There's a code, bro. Like, calm your ass down. Okay, calm your ass down.
Agreed.
And I know you got the big hit that helped Texas win the game in game 2, but pump your brakes, kind sir. You don't need to be jawing at the pitcher and bobbing and weaving in the batter's box in a game that is already out of hand, your team on the wrong end, and then you draw the walk and have a bat flip of the century from the standpoint of somebody who walks back towards your dugout. There's no need for that. So Mead and the head of lettuce definitely trumps each of those as our Borgoball moment that delivered. So I do thank you, kind sir. I want you to tell me about your steakhouse experience. I'll clean up with SEC storied hat tip for that, showcasing South Carolina's back-to-back national titles and also a much more heartstring jerking type story and message connected to the Gamecock program, which, we're more than 15 years past that, but it's going to be on the SEC network this week. I think it's Wednesday. I'll put the link here in the doc, but just check your local listings. When's the last time you heard that one? Check your local listings. SEC storied In Spirit, it's called, focusing on South Carolina back-to-back national championships in 2010 and 2011. Savannah Bananas sell out third football stadium this year, $70K in Nashville. And then my social display of affection, so many places to go. LSU, you mentioned Jay and what he did, matching Skip Burtman through the first 250 games. Most wins in that span at LSU, 177 and 73. But Jay doing the on-camera interview, this is the beauty. of the on-camera interview for the worst reasons why coaches hate it. It wasn't even a blunder. It was an infield hit, but Jay didn't like the effort or the way the play had ended up with, I think, Michael Braswell at third charging and trying to throw out a bunt attempt by Arkansas that ended up being an infield single, but Jay's on the camera in doing the interview and says, quote, "That's why I hate doing these things." Just so pissed off. So really it's the opposite of affection, but a good humanizing moment for Jay.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so first off, my hat tip, going to give it over to a former college baseball player, Tim Elko, formerly of Ole Miss, who got called up by the Chicago White Sox, and his first MLB hit, a bomb. You love to see it. So hat tip to Mr. Tim Elko for becoming a Major League Baseball player, and then his first hit is a dinger. You love to see it for Tim Elko. And then my SDA, Schass, I'm sending you a text right now. Don't look at it until I tell you. So the CW Steakhouse in in Charlotte. I was there for a Mother's Day brunch with my girlfriend's family, and I went to the bathroom towards the end of the meal, and I looked up, and this is what I saw to my left in the bathroom. So now you can open the picture, and I want your unfiltered reaction to what I saw in the bathroom.
Holy moly. How can anyone get any work done in there?
Exactly. So there are
some she's got a pizza.
There are some NSFW pictures in the man cave, as they called it at the CW Steakhouse in Charlotte.
That makes for some uncomfortable urinating.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's what's going on underneath those blocked man cave letters. There is a handicap bar to hold on to that is vertically placed in between what I believe to be two urinals. Oh, no. Is this in the stall?
Nope. Single stall.
That's even worse. Okay.
The right side picture of the lady with the pizza is directly to the left of the toilet. I did not notice these photos until after I was finished using the bathroom. Luckily. Otherwise, I would have been too distracted.
See, it'd actually be kind of funny if you have them above the urinals.
Yes.
But the fact you're putting them in a private stall, these lewd photos of...
Yes, lewd photos is right.
Of beautiful women who are scantily clad.
Yes.
One with a full-on pizza in her lap
Yep.
is sending the wrong message, and it is promoting misconduct, to say the least. So, that is disturbing. What's the name of this place? CW?
CW Steakhouse in Charlotte. More likely in Valentine. But anyways, that and then also the LSU wallpaper that they posted of the box from this past weekend as a iPhone wallpaper, SDA for that.
Yeah, and that was really the backdrop for them announcing their number one ranking. And then a fan replied and said, "Hey, can you just tweet out the whole picture? I'd like to make it a wallpaper. This picture is dope." And it's Anthony Ianson throwing a warm-up pitch, and you got the sun setting, and you got the backdrop behind home plate, and it really is a spectacular image. I thought it was pretty cool. All right, my guy, I ain't got nothing else. You and I, Southland Patriot League download on Thursday. What else do you got?
Yes. Midweeks don't matter this week.
No.
But nothing is worse than what happened to Warner Pacific against Washington a week ago.
Yes.
Washington baseball, which was a bubble team in the NCAA tournament, was losing 5-4 to NAIA Warner Pacific after 6 innings. This was last Monday, May 6th, a week ago. Or no, May 6th. It was a week ago Tuesday. So, a week ago today. Warner Pacific did not make their conference tournament. So this was like the end of their line. This is it. They were winning 5-4 going to the top of the 7th, and the lights went out at Washington Stadium. The lights go out, and they suspend the game. It was their final game on the schedule for 2025. They suspend the game. They're obviously not going to finish it. And they suspend the game. So Warner Pacific loses out on a victory over a Division I team who, by the way, Washington already lost to what? Pacific Lutheran?
Yes.
Earlier this year? D3?
3-1. 3-1 loss earlier this year.
They already lost to a D3 school, and now they were going to lose to an NAIA school, which, by the way, they did 5 complete innings. Why is this not final?
That's what I don't understand.
They put it in as suspended because the lights went out so they couldn't finish the game. You played 6 full innings. Call the game over. Huskies lose. That was so. Anyways, no more midweeks matter if that's how the midweek slate is going to end.
And some of the fans on Twitter were even saying, "Look, they didn't post the score the entire game on like the scoreboard, and then they just completely turned the power off." And then somebody chimed in, "Respect the move. I always turn off the Xbox right before my little brother beats me in Madden. Glad you decided to find the light switch after Plu came to town, so you could be better prepared for this." That's great. We're back on Thursday.